How's it going, folks? Mike with NuWay Ag. In this video, we're going to break down how to spray with the T60X. This is not a video comparing the hardware to another drone. This is strictly how to set up your field boundaries and how to set your application parameters to get your T60X into the fields and spraying. Let's get into it. Let's go ahead and start this. So we have the Agro app. We just click on the Agro app. Right now it says network disconnected. What that means is you're not connected to the internet. So to connect your controller to the internet, if you choose to do so, and you're going to need to do that if you want to be able to pull off the satellite image, because I'm going to go in here, hit begin, and you see that the image is blurry, right? So I can kind of see that there's a satellite image, but not really good. So if I want to see a good clear image of that, I have to connect to the internet. So the way I would do that, I would take my finger and I slide down like this, and right here I can see that it says Wi-Fi. If I click and hold on that, it will pull up Wi-Fi, and then right here I have Starlink. I put in my Wi-Fi password and connect to the internet. So once I'm connected, it now says that I'm connected. I can swipe up, come back to the app. Okay, you can see now the image has become clear. I'm going to X out of that material. So you see how the image is a little more clear, but still it's a little borderline if I'd want to go off of this. That's how you connect your controller to the internet. Now again, you wouldn't necessarily need it to be connected to the internet, but if you want a clear satellite image, you will have to. So let's go ahead and build a boundary on the controller. Before we do that, I like to set up my controller with hotkeys so it's easier to build those boundaries. So on the back of my controller, I have hotkeys like C2, C1, C3. Then I also have L1, 2, 3. And then I have this 5D button that I can use to create hotkeys. And the way I'm gonna do that is on the top right corner. I would click on that, come down here to controller, scroll down to where it says custom button. So L1 currently have set up to turn off the radar. L2, I want to turn on my spotlight. L3, I want to be able to tilt the gimbal camera straight down. So I've hit L3, it looks straight down. I hit it again, it goes back to being neutral. If I hit L1, you'll see that red come on. That means that the radar is turned off. Those are hotkeys and shortcuts that I've used for a long time spraying. On the C3 button back here, we're going to come back into the settings up top here, click the settings, come to controller, scroll down to where it says C3. It's undefined yet. I'm going to click on that and then scroll down to where it says add point. What that's going to allow me to do is when I'm in this screen, I'm going to click on add. Now, the way I'm going to drop points is based on wherever that crosshair is. So if I zoom in and wherever that crosshair is, I can either push this button where it says add. I can do it like that, add. But as you guys know, that I created a hotkey on this back C3 button. Once I hit add, it now knows that I'm going to build a field boundary, and you see this screen slide in on the left side where it says route spacing, margins, start point, all of that. I can come in here to route spacing and it's asking me what do I want the route spacing to be for this field that I'm about to build. So I can choose whatever I want it to be in here or choose it later. So let's go ahead and choose it now, and then I'll show you where we choose that later. This widen field margins. So once I get a boundary built, I'm telling the computer, give me an overall margin on this boundary of 5 feet. If I want nothing, if I want 0 margins, I just come in here and hit 0 margins. We can adjust all those parameters later, even once we get it built. So let's go ahead and build this boundary if we were flying this field. So I'm gonna use my index finger and C3, and then I'm going to use this finger to just slide it around and then drop those points. So we start there, and the more detailed you can be on your satellite or on your image, the more points you drop, the better you can move these later. So let's just come through here. This can take a little while depending if your fields are really like cut up or have a bunch of little dog legs and that type of stuff. It can take a while to build it like this, but once you build it once, it saves it to the controller, and if you ever have to go back to that field again, you just pull up, the field will be on your controller, and you don't have to do this every time. It makes it nice to have that hotkey because I can just be clicking as I'm moving and I don't have to move my other finger every time. The reason I'm putting this many points right here at the end is I will show you that here in a little bit. So we got the field built. That's the boundaries that the drone will fly. I'm trying to zoom out here. Okay, so that's the boundary. I'm going to hit save. It's going to ask me to give it a name. I'm just going to call it confirm, hit save. Now, you see that these lines don't look like that's too efficient. It's not really efficient to fly this short field flying in these directions. Okay, before we jump into the parameters, I want to show you the second way that you can build boundaries manually flying your drone around the edge. Now your drone is going to have fluid in it, and you're gonna need to be spraying, so once you get done with that field, you can save it as a field. First, I'm going to click on the top left corner and I'm going to choose manual. So once I click manual, I see there's M and there's M+. I'm going to choose M+. Now this is where I have to know what I'm going to do to the field. I am going to apply 2 gallons per acre. I'm going to choose 2 gallons per acre. I'm going to choose the droplet size. I'm going to choose how fast the drone flies while I'm manually flying it, how high it is, and what the route spacing is. Once I get those figured out, I'm going to now take off my drone and I'm going to be watching my screen very closely because I'm going to manually fly it around the boundary edge, spraying as I'm going, and you don't have to adjust your spray. The drone is going to do everything for you. You just fly it forward and it knows if it's going this many miles per hour, it needs to pump this many gallons out. So it's not complicated. It's just you gotta stay on the sticks and watch. So I'm going to start it. I can't hit start because if I hit start, it says you gotta take off first. And what's gonna happen is I'm gonna fly out, and the moment I hit start, it's going to come down to that altitude that I told it to fly right here. So I want to take it off. The drone is spinning up. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the field. So right here, the camera's looking down. I hit L3 because I want to look up. The moment I hit start, the drone is going to lower to that 9-10 foot altitude that I chose. I'm going to spin it and I'm going to fly toward the trees. As I fly forward, the fluid starts pumping out. Now, I'm going to go back to my screen, and this is where I have to be really careful. I'm going to watch the screen, the radar, and multiple things. I don't have to watch my altitude because it's supposed to climb and descend on its own based on the terrain. So I'm flying around the edge. As you can see in the bottom left corner, there's a green line that is being left behind my drone that is showing me that I'm currently spraying, and that's where I have applied is that green line. Flying forward, the speed is 28 feet per second. We're going up a little hill. It climbs as I go up there. I'm not needing to input the drone to fly up. I'm just changing its heading and its yaw left and right. So we get all the way back to the end of the field. This is how I really like building boundaries, since somebody taught me this and I was spraying for 2 years before I knew this. So coming down to the field corner, then I turn the drone, and now I'm headed back to where I just came from. And again, we're still spraying. I see my gallons per acre. I can see in the bottom right corner, it says 1.9 gallons per minute. That's how many gallons is flowing out per minute based on the speed that I'm going. If I slow the drone down to 22, you see I'm slowing it down, then the gallons per minute goes down. So I go full stick forward to fly faster. I see that radar. On the left and right, it's sensing those trees and it's telling me what's going on. It slows down when it gets around the trees. I slow down, I see that green line where I was earlier. I'm going to try to get that heading to be as close to that green line to when I started. Once I get to right there, I hit end and this pops up, save as field. Boom, it built that whole field that quick by flying around it. Now I'm going to bring it back to where I took it off. And I'm manually flying this. I turn my radar off so I can quickly land on the trailer if I choose to do so. That was done all manually. That is how I like building boundaries, is to fly around the edge. And you can see where that green line was is what I've already applied. Let's talk about these boundaries since we're in here. and we're going to talk about the parameters later, but if you build your boundaries like this, you can see where the green line was. You don't want to go outside the green line, so then that means you have to adjust your margins. So come back here, come into advanced, do route only. Let me explain this a little bit better. You see how the yellow line has gone past the green line? That's because the margins, when you fly a field like that, it actually builds the boundaries out further. So to adjust for that, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go back to basics, and right here, overall margins, I'm going to suck this in to, let's go 20 feet. Now watch this line right here, this yellow line. Let's go to 20 feet. Hit that. You see how it sucked it in? We're still not quite there yet. I want to be in past the green, so I'm going to come up here. Never mind. So on this software update, you can only suck it in to 16 feet overall margins. On the T50, you were able to suck it into 25 feet, but the overall margins on the T60X, as of filming this video right now, you cannot go more than 16.4 feet total margin. So if you're across the green line, you might run into an obstacle where it's like it will break and tell you I can't go past that if the trees are too close. But that is how you would fly a manual plus mode, spraying that boundary and then saving it as a field. Now let's get into the deep parameters of how to set up your drone before you go spraying. So we're gonna come in here and we're going to hit edit. Once I hit edit, it'll pull up that similar screen that I seen before. I could choose start point. Say I want, so currently it's saying we're going to start right here where this green dot is. If I want to start down here, I would click on start point. You see how these circles right here, those are the points that I dropped earlier. That's why I dropped more of them, so I could choose different start points if I choose to do that. If I wouldn't have dropped that many points, it only allows you to choose start points between the points that have been dropped. So if I want to start down here, I click here. If I want to start up here further, I click on there, and then your start point moves, the green button moves. See how that moves down? If I want to start up here, that's how you choose your start point differences. Now I hit save, it's saving that start point again to the field, and these parameters that we set and save for this field, it will remember all those parameters that you chose, so when you come back to do the field again, that is all saved into it, and it's going to start at that start point with the parameters that you've set. So let's go ahead and choose route spacing. This is something that you guys will learn as you become better applicators, but if you were to ask me what my parameters are, I would tell you if I'm doing a herbicide application, I will be 25 to 30 feet route spacing depending on the wind. So let's go ahead and say that we're doing, herbicide. I'm gonna choose 25-foot route spacing. Now you see that it didn't choose exactly 25 feet. It is doing that based on the computer calculations of the overall swath width of the drone calculated in here. So if I hit the plus button, it goes up to 25.66. If I hit the minus, it goes below 25. I'd usually just choose whatever number is closest. Here, I would probably go 25.66. Say you would want to change the margin on this back boundary right here. You could click on one side. So you click on the side like that you want to adjust the margins. You click on it, and then you come down here and you say, I want 12 feet on this margin right there. You hit OK. You see how it bumped in that route? Because when you flew around it, you were like, I want to give myself a little bit of protection. I'm going to bump that section in. If you want to choose more like overall margins, you did that earlier in the overall margins. You can choose that. You can select how many sides. So if you look here, if I adjust this, it's going to pick different boundary margins. So sliding this out, you see how it's choosing all these boundaries. If I slide this in, those go away because they all have a number. Every time you drop a point, that is a boundary point. And so if you have 100 of them, you're going to have one to 100. And if you only want to do between 50 and 100, you would choose this slider to only do the number 50 to 100. That's how you adjust different margins if you're wanting to do one-sided or overall margin. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to just bring this back to 0 because I actually don't need to protect that extra margin that I was showing you guys there. So we've seen how to change the start point. We did that by going in here and then choosing the start point that we wanted. So now we're going to save that. Let's go into the advanced mode. So up top here, we see that we're in basic currently. If I click on advanced, this is where I can choose more of the parameters. So currently we're in route only. It's saying that the drone will only fly the straight routes. If I want to do the straight routes plus fly around the boundary to kind of paint in those edges, I would choose route and a boundary. So it's going to fly the straight lines and then do the boundary. And you can see that by zooming in and seeing that there's an orange line out around the boundary. The yellow line is where the spray will be turned on, and the white line is the drone's path of flying this mission with the spray off. The reason that it's spray off right here where it's yellow and then this is white is because once it comes around this boundary edge, the swath would connect to this yellow line. That's the theory. Sometimes you have to adjust it a little bit here and there. So that is route plus boundary. If you want to just do the boundary of your field, you would just click on boundary only. Now it's going to fly around the boundary of the field, all around it. You see that orange line. Down here below that, it says direction. It's asking you what direction do you want to fly the route boundary. You can go clockwise or counterclockwise. Personally, I've not found much difference of what direction I would want to go, but there's a lot of different scenarios out there that might be different. So if I'd want to go the other way, I just hit counterclockwise. The drone will go that way instead of coming this way. Single side spraying. What this does, if I click this on, you see how that line, the outside line got turned on? Basically what that's doing is when the drone goes down and then it has to go over 25 feet or whatever your route spacing is that you chose, it's going to go down, go over 25 feet and then come back. When it turns and it makes that short little 25-foot row, it will turn on the outside nozzle on the drone to get that little portion sprayed. So if you click on single side spraying, as you see, the little yellow line came on, meaning that the sprayer will be turned on that outside line. Course angle. So currently we can see that this course angle doesn't look very efficient. So we could click on settings, and prior to this, I had up top auto optimization turned off. If you turn that on, that is how it usually comes out of the box, turned on. It's using the best direction that the drone is going to fly this field based on distance, algorithm for batteries, and many different things are calculated into that auto optimization. So you want to have that turned on almost all the time because it's going to know what direction that the drone should be flying. A scenario where you might want to turn that off and you choose the direction that drone is flying is because of wind direction. If the wind is a strong wind, and you guys will learn this in your applicator's license, if you're going through that, you want your wind to be overlapping itself. So if I'm flying straight towards you and the wind is blowing it at me, the wind is blowing my chemical back, I would much rather turn my drone and fly like this. That way, every time as I continue going that way, right, I'm coming up, going over, the wind is going to lap over like that. So the reason I'm telling you this is it's really nice to turn this auto optimization off, and I can choose which direction that the drone flies. There's a couple different ways to do this. So one is this little yellow button right here. You can grab this, move it around. You see how the directions are changing? It's basically following where that little yellow button is. Or if you want to fine tune it, down here you see 1 degree. You can click this and fine tune it however you want to get that direction of flight route to be very precise based on the wind or based on other scenarios that you choose to do so. But for this, I'm going to just turn the auto optimization on and hit yes. Below course angle, it says route segment. What that is if I click on that, I can choose if I want to spray every single route that is in this field, or if I only want to do a section of this route. So the way I do that is I grab this bar, slide it in. Now you see the lines that are gray? Those are lines that it will not spray on this field mission. yellow lines will get sprayed. So if I slide this in, I am choosing only the specific area of the field that I want to fly based on route segment. That's how you would choose if you want to do just half of the field or maybe just a couple lines in the field. You would choose that through route segment. But for this scenario, we're going to do the whole field, and so we will just leave it like that. We hit OK. Since we've gone through all our parameters and we set what we want to set, we're going to hit save. This is our field, and we're going to hit use. Here is where we start putting in parameters like how many gallons per acre, how fast do we want the drone to fly, the droplet size, those things. So let's go ahead and set that. But before we do that, let's say you're going to be doing a bunch of different fields at the same gallons per acre. You would set a template. So you would create a template, and you would do that by clicking on this button right here and selecting new template. Say you're doing product on multiple farms and it's going to always be 2.8 gallons. So you're going to choose that. You can choose the droplet that you want that template to always reflect. I'm gonna go ahead and choose 470 microns, hit apply. How fast do I want the drone to fly when I choose this template? I'm going to have it fly 36 feet per second. The flight speed is going to be 36 feet per second. Right below, I can see that it's going to do 3.2 gallons per minute. My crop height, so the drone above the crop height will be 9.8 feet above the crop. If I increase this route spacing by hitting plus, you see how the flow actually increases because I'm telling it that your swath is wider, drone. Basically, you're telling it that it's wider so then it knows it needs to produce more flow to hit that gallons per acre that we put in earlier. So let's go ahead and put 25 feet in here, and we'll see that 3.3 gallons change to 3.49 gallons because we told it you're wider. We want to do the 2.8 gallons that we chose earlier. So once we get that all set in there, we're going to hit save, and we're going to give it a name again. So coming over here, I'm going to call it 2.8 GPA. That's how I'm going to call it. You can give it whatever name you want and hit save. All right, so that's how you build a template. Now, say you don't want to use a template. Say you just want to do this field and you don't want to use a template. You can always do that by just adjusting this. So you can literally come in here, say 2 gallons an acre, say you want 140 microns or 150 microns and you want the drone to fly at 25 feet per second and you want the route spacing to be 32 feet. You can always do that without having to have a template, and it's saving those parameters to the field that you choose once you hit start. So exiting out of here. Now that we walk through how to build a template for your parameters, how to do route segment, how to choose start point, what your parameters were, how high you were going to fly, I'm going to go ahead and get the T60X filled up with product. And while I'm filling up with product, you are going to see, for this scenario, I'm going to choose 5.2 gallons per acre on this field. So once I chose that, let's slow down. Let's go back here to 2 GPA. On the top right corner, you see it says field accuracy low. The reason it's telling you low is because I just used the GPS of the satellite image. You can use RTK. I'm not going to get into those details. This is just showing you the basic, simplest way to build boundaries. Below that, it says task area is 4.6 acres, and the amount that will be sprayed is 12.98 gallons at 2.8 gallons per acre. If I come back in here and I choose 5.2, you're going to see that that amount changes to 23.6 gallons because it calculated it all in there. So you will then know how many gallons it's going to take to do that specific field. All right, let's hit start. Because I do not have any fluid in my tank, it says that it failed to upload task, tank empty, refill tank. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to keep this like this. Let me zoom in here actually. It's hard to see, but below that green button right now where the start point is, you will see there's a tank image that is red and slashed. It means that's how far you're going to go until your tank runs out of fluid. So I'm going to keep this zoomed out like this. As I'm filling the tank, you're going to see that tank move down the line because it's showing you where it's going to run out. Let's go ahead, get some fluid in here and show you how to spray this field. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start filling this tank. As I start putting fluid in it, on the top where it's red, you see 1 gallon, and now you see the tank moving. That's telling you where this drone is going to run out of fluid if I would stop filling it right now. I will stop at 6 gallons. You see how it turned green? It's just saying that's good. So actually I'm gonna step back and I'm gonna explain a few things on the top there before we get going. Okay, so up top on this bar, you can click on that and just make sure that everything's ready to go. If it's green, you're good to go. If it's red, then it's telling you that something isn't right. Right next to that, you see a controller with 4 bars that's telling you that it has good connection between the controller and the drone. Next to that, it has 28 GNSS, 28 satellites are connected to the drone right now. Next to that is 81%. That is the flight battery percentage. How much power is in the battery that's in the drone. Next to that, 6.3 gallons. That's how much fluid is in the tank currently. Then it has a slash 13.2. It's telling you you can only put 13.2 gallons in that tank. If you go over, it's going to give you a warning, like you're overweight. Are you sure you want to go ahead and take off? Then next to that, it looks like a little controller, 95 and 86. That is your controller battery percentage, as well as the battery in the back here. You can pop this out and change this. It's giving you both battery percentages. So that's what you're seeing up top. Long-winded, a lot of information, but let's go ahead and send this drone out to do this field. We're going to hit start. You see here my red radar. I hit L1 so it makes sure that that radar is turned on. Hit resume. Actually, let's collapse this. Come back here. If I hit flight, so my flight, I've chose it to do hill mode. It's going to terrain follow differently than it would if it's in flatland mode. So I've chose hill mode. And what that would do is if it has an obstacle, it's going to come and climb up over it. If you're in flatland mode, it would come and try to slide around it. 2 different modes, above water. If you're doing something above water, I've never personally done a lot above water, so I've never seen how that really works. Connection route speed, meaning how fast will the drone go from here to where it's starting. I have that at 45 feet per second. Connection route altitude and return to home. How high do I want the drone to go before it spins and makes a straight line going back to home? That is set at 16 feet above the crop or above the land. Auto return to home. If I click on that, I can tell it what to do. At tank empty, I want it to return to home. If you would want to, you can choose it to hover, ascend 3 meters, but it's return to home for me. Task complete, what do I want it to do? I want it to return to home and not hover. RC signal lost, what do I want it to do? I want it to return to home. But right below that, I can choose task, continue task on signal lost. So if I'm back there and the signal is lost between the controller and the drone and I can see it, I just want it to continue its mission as long as it's spraying in there, so you can turn that on. At low battery, what do I want the drone to do? Here, it's set to warning. Let's go ahead and turn it to return to home. At 20% battery, no matter how much fluid is in the drone, once it hits that, it's coming back home for safety. So that is in the flight portion of when you have selected a field and you're just ready to head out there to go spray. So let's go ahead and hit resume. Here it's going to let you check all your stuff to make sure you're good. You're in hill mode. This is connection route speed, 45 feet per second. Connection route altitude, it's going to go 16 feet and then return to home, or return to its start point, or return home. Fully enabled, here we go. We swipe. Now the drone is spinning up. This drone does multiple, you see how it parallel processes? It spins and moves into direction that it's wanting to go. So it gets to its start point, comes down, and then starts flying. So if I'm watching out on my drone and I see that it's drifting a lot, I can slide this bar over, come into operations, come to droplet size. I can adjust this on the fly. Let's go up to 500 microns right now. So you can literally adjust the droplet size while it's flying. If you slide it down, the droplets will get more fine, but then you're gonna get a lot more drift. So let's go back up to 390. Now you can see the drone is flying that outside edge. It will turn on the sprayer on that outside edge. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on my light, and I've set that to L2. You can click this button to lock your aircraft to the satellite image. So currently, the drone is flying 23 feet per second. If I want it to fly faster, I can come in here. Max speed is 42, but if I go to 55, the reason it only jumped to 23 feet per second is because it's doing 5 gallons per acre. It knows that it can only fly that fast at that gallons per acre. Now, if I come in here and I turn this down to 2 gallons per acre, now my flight speed, I can increase up to 45 feet per second, and the drone will fly much, much faster. Okay, so the top there, my tank is at okay, now it's empty already. Couldn't even get it out in time. It was flying that fast. So the drone climbs up, spins, and is returning to home at a straight line. Now I can see exactly how much I've covered on the right-hand side here. I covered 1.4 acres and sprayed 6.2 gallons. And on this field, I still have 3 acres and 16 gallons remaining. It's really nice. The drone spins, turns, and comes right back to where it took off. It's going to come down and it's going to stop at 10 feet. It knows that a trailer is there, and it's going to auto land, coming down, confirm and land. We click, and it did all that on its own. I never touched the sticks once. It just told me, hey, there's something below the drone. Are you sure? Yep, I'm sure. It come back down, it stopped again at about 3 feet, and then I confirmed, and it landed all on its own. Never once did I give it any commands on the sticks themselves. So let's go ahead, put some more fluid in it, and we'll send it back out there to continue flying. As you guys seen, if I would go and I fill this tank now, it's going to come back here to this green dot and start there, and you can literally see which way it's going to go. It's going to come down, go right, and then come back up, or correction, it's going to come down, it'll go left, and then it'll come back up here. You can follow exactly what route the drone's going to take. I'm not going to continue this field. I'm going to X out of this and tell the drone to just fly this auto route boundary. So I'm going to hit end. I'm going to select the field. I'm going to hit edit, come into advance, click boundary only, and then hit start. Now it's only going to fly that boundary. I'm going to hit use. You can see that right there is where it's going to start, fly that boundary, and I'm going to change the drop or the GPA to 3 gallons GPA, and then come up here and go to max speed, route spacing. Let's take this up to 25. All right, I'm gonna go fill the tank and we'll send it out to do an auto route boundary. Okay, so now we've chosen auto route boundary. We put in 5.4 gallons. You can see that at the top. The task area is 1.38 acres to fly around this boundary, and we're going to spray 4.43 gallons doing this. We're going to hit start. I'm going to hit collapse because I turned the radar off. I'm going to turn it back on, hit it resume. Gives me all the parameters that I've already set in there. Hit swipe it, and it's going to go and do that boundary. This thing is really fast getting into the field with its processes. It like spins and moves everything at like. So see how the drone is slowing down? If it sees an obstacle, it'll slow down to try to go around it or over top of it. It's going 42, 43 feet per second down that long line. Now, if I want to change that droplet size because it looks like it's drifting a lot, I will adjust that again on the fly. It's telling you, use caution, you're flying, you're going over 42 feet per second. The camera on this drone is incredible. It's very clear. It's really, really good. See how close it's getting to the trees? We're at 500 microns. Here, I'm going to adjust the droplet size again. Let's pull it down to like 270. And you can see it zipping around that boundary edge. As soon as it gets done, it will RTH at the altitude and speed that I told it to. You see that spin? It does that to be really efficient. It says, are you sure you want to land? There's something below it. I say yes, it drops back down, auto land. Now I would say, I always recommend people, if you're landing on a trailer and you're not running RTK, which is super precise positioning, I would manually land the drones, because you can see that it was, what is it, off about 20 inches to the left. It could do it, but I wouldn't recommend doing it all the time. There you go, guys. I know that was a long video going through how to do your boundaries and setting up your spray parameters and stuff. But if you guys like long videos like this, make sure to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment. I'll try to produce longer videos like this. But that's all I got for you guys today on the NuWay channel. Hit that subscribe button. We're gonna be bringing you guys some really cool content using these spray drones to spray crop fields all across the country. That's all I got. We'll see you guys on the next one.